got? Come on, you hate! You want to live forever? Fire, Will!
Based on the novel by Robert A. Heinlein, Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers is a satirical sci-fi action blockbuster that chronicles an interplanetary conflict between the humans of the Federation and an insectoid alien race known as the Arachnids. Often referred to as bugs, the Arachnids are a perfect survival organism and an overwhelming force of sheer destruction that eviscerates everything in their path.
Would you like to know more?
Infesting their home planet and the surrounding Klendathu system, the Arachnids were on the Federation's radar for some time before fuses of the first bug war were lit. With the advent of interplanetary space travel, the Federation spent many years colonizing nearby planets as they explored the further reaches of space. Despite government orders, a handful of rogue human colonies attempted to settle in the Klendathu restricted zone, but were usually decimated by violent arachnid attacks. The Arachnids then supposedly hurled a massive meteorite towards Earth, killing over 8 million people in Buenos Aires. In response, under the command of Sky Marshal Deans, the Federation launched a full-scale counterattack.
We must meet the threat with our valor to ensure that human civilization dominates this galaxy now and always!
Underestimating their enemy, the initial attack on the Arachnid home planet proves to be an utter disaster, leading to the death of nearly 300,000 Federation soldiers. As a result, the Federation organized key missions instrumental in uncovering the true complexity of the Arachnids.
Federal scientists struggle to explain the intelligent military actions of the Arachnids.
I can't believe I am hearing this nonsense.
You just
this
wait
is the most
a
ridiculous
moment,
conversation I have ever had.
The Arachnids essentially function in a basic insect caste system, with select leadership roles supported by a horde of combat and worker roles. Despite mostly being seen on the surface, they reside in massive cave systems that run through the crust of various Klendathu planets. The lower-ranked Arachnids protect these hives at the point of entry, while the most valued in the hierarchy, like the Queen, who's mentioned in the novel as playing a vital role in reproduction but not seen in the film, usually reside in the deep recesses below. The bulk of the Arachnid army is made up of the warrior variant, the stuff of nightmares, who, with their tough exoskeleton and razor-sharp appendages, prove to be incredibly deadly in open combat. Standing at approximately 10 feet tall and with a length of roughly 15 feet, they have a natural camouflage to help them hide within their specific terrain. Surprisingly agile given their size, they're able to quickly skitter across using their dominant hind legs, before using their two shorter front legs to impale unsuspecting victims. In addition to their 4 locomotive legs, warriors also have 2 smaller mantis-like arms that protrude from their center mass, used to stab and slice their prey. But the true terror of the warriors comes from their enormous mandibles, which can not only cut through skin and bone, but have enough crushing power to turn rocks into pebbles. Although their bodies are deceptively slim and hard to hit, warriors can be quickly killed by targeting their nerve stems between the abdomen and head. This is essential, as they're still highly effective in combat, even after the loss of multiple limbs, a lesson our protagonist Johnny Rico and his comrades end up learning the hard way. Hopper bugs are just as expendable as warrior bugs, but their aerial maneuverability makes them slightly more valuable to the Horde.
Post, Whiskey Outpost, this is Roughneck 2-0 on...
With similar features to warrior bugs, these swift and deadly flying horrors have 4 legs that allow them to leap in the air, and a large set of wings that enable them to glide using natural air currents. But while their evasive flight patterns make them tough to track and kill, they're much less resilient than their warrior cousins. Thanks to their massive size, plasma and tanker bugs occupy the next level of the arachnid hierarchy. The plasma bugs are the first arachnid variant that the Federation forces encounter during their war. While descending into the planet's orbit, the fleet of starships and space cruisers encounter bright flashes of blue plasma, initially disregarded as random innocuous bursts of light. However, after suffering massive casualties, the pilots realize that the plasma bursts are actually missiles from the massive bugs, which function as anti-air artillery. Standing a few stories tall, the enormous bulbous behemoths dwarf their cousins on the battlefield. But, despite their heavy armor and size, when firing, they retract their shells, leaving their weak points vulnerable to attack. Tanker bugs, like plasma bugs, are massive beta-like aliens with massive armored shells, providing durable reinforcement for arachnid ground forces during combat. Their sheer size and durability make them an unrelenting force on the battlefield, made all the more overwhelming by their tendencies to burrow underground and breach deep inside enemy territory. Their main method of attack is a long stream of flammable acid, ignited by two sparking appendages that protrude from the tanker's mouth, turning its attacks into a caustic stream of hellfire. Luckily, just like the plasma bug, while their outer shell is tough, their insides are vulnerable. Interestingly, despite their size, both plasma and tanker bugs lack leadership roles. This is because every thought and decision of every single member of the hive is reserved for the brain bugs, which are highly intelligent and telepathic monarchs of the collective.
You know what this is? Sure you do. You're some kind of big, fat, smart bug, aren't you?
Often protected by masses of warriors, brain bugs are one of the rarest variants. Originally based on the appearance of a queen termite, the creature's massive size, composed primarily of brain matter, forces it to rely on a small horde of 4-foot-long chariot bugs that carry it around like royalty. Using an elongated and sharpened proboscis, these slug-like creatures gain knowledge by feeding on the brains of their enemies. During this process, brain bugs also have the ability to control their victims for a short period of time. While answering a distress call on one of the bug planets, Rico and his squad discover a communications officer with his brain sucked out, implying that the initial call was an ambush created by the brain bug. Using its telepathy, the brain bug can receive instant feedback on everything that is happening on the planet at any given time, and communicate this to the entire hive like an organic quantum supercomputer, all of which is discovered when the psychic-sensitive Federation officer Carl reads the mind of a captured brain bug after the Federation's first major victory in the war.
We've got one of their brains now. Pretty soon we'll know how they think, and then we'll know how to beat them.
Throughout the film, the intelligence and primary motivation of the arachnids are discussed and contested. While the idea of intelligent insects is mostly scoffed at, the overwhelming evidence of military tactics is hard to deny, making it clear that the arachnids are more than just your average run-of-the-mill pest. Within the narrative, many of Earth's civilians see the attack on Earth as an invasive strategy from an evil insect foe hell-bent on conquering the planet. The arachnids are also cited as having the ability to colonize planets by shooting their spores into the air. But given the strong gravitational pull of the Klandathu system, it would take a staggering amount of force to launch an asteroid at Earth, and even more precision to hit the target from that range without technology. So, while it's likely that they use spores to colonize nearby planets, it's unlikely that they could ever reach us. When all is said and done, the only proof of the asteroid being a calculated attack from the arachnids is the word of the Federation, which, as we know, has a huge agenda at hand.
Everyone's doing their part. The war effort needs your effort.
The solution to this for me is an interesting fan theory that proposes that the initial attack on Earth was actually a false flag operation manufactured by the Federation to boost public sentiment towards the brutal war. All of this leads me to believe that the motivations of the arachnids are actually quite simple. We drew first blood, and they're just trying to protect their home. With that being said, I'd love to explore the other films in the series and some of the other variants in the extended universe. So if that's something you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
Fully automatic burrito. Who wants to hold it?
Citizen rule. People making a better tomorrow.